Hi guys, this is Rotaract Ranat Chettiar, the president for the Rotaract Club of Bombay Pier, and we are here with one another episode of Pier Talks, and we are here to welcome our guest, Mr. Lavier George. It is great having you here.
Thank you.
I would not be giving introduction for them because I feel like they will be the one who will be willing to do that for themselves because what they can speak, none of them other than us can speak like that.
Thank you, Renard. Thank you for having me here, guys. I'm Lavier George, ex-naval communication sailor. I've served the Indian Navy for 15 years. I joined at the ripe age of 17, and then after serving for 15 years, I retired in 2014. And now I'm serving a public sector bank.
Anything about your personal life here?
Personally, I'm married with one kid. My wife is a housewife, and my son is studying in standard 6.
So to start us off, could you take us back to the day that you joined the Indian Navy in 1999 and what inspired you to choose this path?
Definitely, it's a very nostalgic day. I cannot remember. I can hardly forget that day because it was just a turning moment in my life. So it all started like when I was also youth like you all. I was in my college. This aspiration was actually since childhood, not exactly childhood, but maybe you can say exactly in 1997, 98, we had one episode of Seahawks,
Okay.
which was going on DD Metro. So there was a show Naval Life, and I think Mr. R. Madhavan was there. So that white uniform somewhere inspired me, and I just wanted to see myself in that white uniform. So it was like in 10th standard, we had a counseling in our school, and the counselor was also new to the thing. So she, anyhow, by in some means, she guided us. I asked her, "Ma'am, I want to join the Indian Navy. So how to go about it?" So she guided me in a way. She gave me some procedure how to go about, but it was not clear, and I was also not at that. I was also preparing for the board exams, as you all know. 10th standard, we have board exams. Then later on, that I had a small gap. I joined college, and generally life was going on. And then one day, my dad came up to me and said, "You were supposed to be joining Indian Navy. What happened about that?" Then it clicked to me, "Arey, I have given a gap for it." So then we went to Malad, INS Amla. There's a naval base there. We inquired about how to get into Navy and all. So they said it is not like that you walk in and you join the Navy. It is like you will get an advertisement in the government newspapers. So you have to apply for it and then you can enroll for it. So then I was never in the habit of reading newspapers. So luckily my dad helped me getting that advertisement. It came around in October 98,
Okay.
and he brought me to it, and I was very excited. So it's like my heart started palpitating, and this is my time now. So then I applied for it, and then we had a written test in December. December 15th, 1998 was my exam at INS Amla, Malad. We were around 250 candidates, inspiring candidates for that written examination, first lot. So we were in an auditorium filled with students, and I was very weak in, sorry to say, but I was very weak in maths and science, and that was needed for the exam. But I just prayed to God that yes, this is my dream, and I want to anyhow go through it. So, two out of 250 candidates, the exam was for an hour's duration, and we had that OMR marking thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So the result comes very quickly.
Mhm.
So we just had to wait for another half an hour, and finally the guy came out and told, the men in uniform came out and told us, the first batch results are out. Out of 250, only 12 are passed. 12 have qualified for the physical test. So I told my father, let's go before we get embarrassed. We'll leave from here and we'll go. But my father told, at least let us hear the results and go. And you won't believe, but I was the lucky 12th man to get in. So that was the experience, and I really had a great time.
That is really great because I remember when I first spoke to Abba, my grandmother, about having this interview. Like you were in the Navy and everything. She's like, हाँ वो लोग सब वो time पे आया था एक newspaper में and वो देख के they all went and everything. So I was sitting there for 15 minutes and she was telling me this exact story.
Exact story.
So you have served 15 years in different ships, even offshore. What kind of mindset, discipline did you gain or did you build while you were serving that time?
Basically, after the written test, the physical thing, then the weeks of medical examination, we have a merit list for Mumbai zone.
Okay.
So there we get selected. Then there's a merit list for all India level. So then finally we got our names, we got all selected and all. And then we were waiting just to be transported to our first training center, that is Orissa INS Chilka. INS Chilka at Orissa, Bhubaneswar. So we were all excited, and we were youths, all had their hair grown up, different style, beard, everything and all. We were all in our heroic styles. Then the moment when we entered the training base, we arrived at early morning around 4 o'clock. As soon as we entered, the first thing what they did was they made us stand in a queue, and we were having no idea about what is going to happen. But the first thing what started was we are having a haircut. So we were all balded off fully, completely, so that at least we look uniform in that AMP. So initially it was like we were all different forms, shapes, hair, color, sizes, and all. Then after a few minutes we found that we are all in one uniform head pattern. So that was good. And basically first 6 months were physical training, because when you speak about armed forces, it is all about first physical strength, then the mental strength. Later on, after the first 6 months, then we were given trades, the departments. So then we moved on to the professional phase. And it is like in armed forces, what we can say, there is no sir. The first thing which we learned was there is never a no sir. Anything given up to you, any task, you have to smilingly accept it, whether you accept it smilingly or not, but you have to do it. So it was like that कि जब कुछ करना है तो हंस के कर, रो के तो करा ही लेंगे. The saying was like that. So we always used to do it with a accept the challenge and just move on. So the physical toughness was the first part, then the mental challenge of the trades, because we were very new to it. We were young kids. So luckily I got the communication trade part, and I got to learn a lot from that. And Navy, all armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, all have a set pattern of timings, how to go about it. So we were already indulged in it, and everything got imbibed in it. As gradually progress, we did the progress in our training.
Absolutely amazing to hear. So you have served on board in INS Subhadra and INS Nirakshak, which is one of the India's only rescue submarine vessel. So what are a few moments that when you were on board on sea that you can recollect, and what is something that you learned from it?
Yeah, luckily after the professional training, we got posted to different places. And since my name is Lavier George, I opted for Cochin as my first, since my professional training was in Cochin. So I didn't want to travel much with all that luggage, because if you get posted to somewhere, you have to carry that whole luggage and travel. So what I did, I thought, okay, first I'll serve in Cochin itself so that I don't have to travel much. The base is also inside, and the ships were also inside only, near the jetty, Cochin port. So I'll just travel and go to the ship wherever I get posted. But the commanding officer thought differently. He thought he's George, he might be a Mallu, so we should not give him initial transfer in Cochin. But he never knew I was basically born and brought up in Bombay. So he posted me to Bombay, thinking that I am away from my home. But luckily I got transferred to my home itself. So then I was very happy. And then the first ship when I posted was INS Indian Naval Ship Subhadra. Basically it's a offshore patrol vessel. We have 5-6 offshore patrol vessels. Basic duty of that is to guard the coastline of the waterline territory of India. So initially I was very junior that time, so we had to keep our heads little low. We have to respect the seniors, different duties, mess boys, sentries, all kinds of physically challenged duties. So we accepted it, and slowly, because I had to learn, I had that always that I want to become something in the Indian Navy. So I just slowly and gradually moved. Instances which I can remember from the first posting was INS Subhadra was first thing I was able to take my family and my area people on board the ship during Navy Week.
Okay.
That was a memorable one because my mother was full of tears when she saw me doing all that communication and all. So that moment I thought, yes, I have done at least something in my life worth. And one more instance I can remember is then my friends, college friends, wanted to show off that my friend is in Navy, so we are going on board ship. And that instant is really like a shocking also, and it was very happy also. Not shocking actually, it was like I had a fear because these are all 18, 19-year-old boys and they want to visit my ship. So we had to make a list of guests who are arriving and we have to give it to the security office. So I gave the list. They were around 13, 14 odd boys, all aged 17 and 18, and they wanted to see the ship. The security officer was, no, I cannot allow these boys to enter the ship. If first thing you are a junior most sailor, I cannot on your responsibility let these people go in. So I had to convince my senior just to help me out and bring it. So then they had a lot of fun in that, and I was very worried what will happen to me after they leave. But luckily nothing happened and they also enjoyed. So these are the memories of Subhadra and INS Nirakshak. That time I was a little bit senior, so I had some juniors behind me, so I could command over them. That was the thing. Learn from them also. So it was nice. And one instance I remember, the most memorable instance in the INS Nirikshawar, as what Navy has taught us to be always looking up to challenges, and we have to anyhow overcome it. So anchor. What is an anchor?
Yeah.
Ship has an anchor, right? So all the other ships have anchors with shackles.
Okay.
And in Nirikshak we have a wired rope. It doesn't have shackles.
Okay.
So it doesn't go slowly. It will go in one swipe. Zoop karke it will go down into the water. What happened? Our rotor system had broken down and we were already in anchorage and we had around 220 meters of wire rope under the water. And our ship was just drifting away. So commanding officer called up everybody and said we have to move because otherwise we have to call for some help. So what the crew members suggested was we will pull it up. 220 meters of wire rope.
It would be very thick, wouldn't it?
Yes, it was very thick. It couldn't be handled by bare hands. We had hand gloves too because safety always comes first. So these people suggested we will pull it up. Then commanding was shocked. How can you pull up 220 meters? Well, I will start at least. Then all the crew members came in and I was watching from the bridge because communication department is always near the commanding officer in the bridge. The top position of the ship is called bridge. So I was there. So while seeing them, then they started. Then slowly everybody started joining from their post, and it was like a teamwork. We had that comradeship going on. Then I also had that feeling that I also should go and help. So finally, the whole crew of 120 people were on the deck pulling the rope, and finally we managed to do it. And commanding officer was all hats off to us.
That is something very memorable and you can never forget that, won't you?
Sure, you can never forget it.
So communication being very crucial yet sometimes being unseen in naval operations, can you help our listeners understand what is your actual role that you played in the ship?
Sure. Communication is a very general term, but when it comes to defense forces, it becomes a different term for us because communication in armed forces is very different from the general communication what we use. We have coded languages. We have different we have different communication sets. We have to wire them, go on to a certain frequency, and for every part of exercise what we have in the Navy, we have given a set of instructions. For this exercise we need this frequency, for this exercise we need this frequency, and every dates have codes, different meanings. So in the professional training where we were taught how to use that, Morse code is general,
Hmm.
phonetics is general, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. You might have heard in many
Mhm.
movies.
Yeah.
So that is common that we used to use for general communication. And
Okay.
then we had to communicate with different ships while exercises, training for war preparedness. We have a code that are restricted, some are restricted, confidential. That depends on your rank, how
Hmm.
you can handle that codes
Okay.
and who can handle that codes. So we dealt with all that thing, and it was very versatile and it was very challenging and very happening. It was like
So
that.
that is something because I remember in movies like those Ghazi attack and everything, there are people who actually understand that there is something moving across the sea and everything like that.
Exactly.
But of course, we wouldn't know in that depth कि
Yes.
इतना सब कुछ जाता है
Correct.
उसमें.
Correct.
Yes. After retiring in 2014, you began a new professional journey in the public banking sector. So, how did your naval experience teach you to actually survive or transition to this phase of your life?
First of all, whatever today I am, it is always is only and only because of the armed forces. What how I have been trained, how to have a positive mindset, and this term of 15 years, while you reach your on the later stages of your service around 13 and a half years, they give a option for us
Okay.
if you're willing to serve further, or you can retire with pension.
Okay.
So then we had a group of boys, our batchmates all got together. What we can do? Do we have any opportunities outside? Yes, we have ample opportunities, but then that that time during those days around 2013-14, banking sector was growing very nicely. So all aimed at joining banking sector. Now, banking sector wouldn't be as difficult as armed forces. Everybody knows. Once you're into armed forces, then any job, any work, when you handle it, you always have that mindset. I will go through it easily. So then we had some time. The Navy gives you all time before retiring to take up some courses,
Okay.
so that you find a suitable job for you. So that it doesn't happen that Navy has left you just anywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
So they provide us with ample opportunities so that we have a settled life. So we also got 6 months off course training. So I studied somewhat for this banking exam, and I thought I'll give it a try.
Okay.
So then first day when I walked into the class, banking classes, I saw all young students, 16, 17 years, and I'm 32 years old, sitting with them. I'm not able to understand a thing. I thought I won't be able to go through. But then I thought, let us give it some time, because the Navy has thought that whatever job is there, if some jobs can be finished the same day, but some jobs will take
Certain amount of time.
certain amount of time. So I gave myself some time because I wanted. Now it was like my youth, whole youth. I was away from my family first, and so I wanted some time for my family. So I thought 15 years is not a less period of time. So I thought I'll go out with grace, and then finally I cracked the exam. And before retirement, the same month, I had a job in my hand.
Okay.
So I was very happy, and happily I retired from the Indian Navy.
So you have served the nation in uniform, and now you serve in in a public sector. So how do you personally define the word service today?
Service in uniform is slightly bit different from the service in the
Public
commercial
sector.
public sector, commercial world. Their service, when you say the word service in armed forces, first thing comes to your mind is pride, honor, dignity. That is running in your veins. That is defined. And when it comes to service remains same, but then we meet general people, and there are opportunities where you can deny them service. But in armed forces, you cannot deny any kind of service to anybody. So here we have, and it was good on my part. I have been having that background of service, and I just have to go, and that is already imbibed in me, and I just have to provide service to general people. So that discipline, that obedience somewhere has helped for me for providing efficient service to our people. So it's very good, a good feeling actually. People appreciate whenever anybody gets served, they feel appreciated. So I try to make people feel appreciated for it.
So when it comes to you coming from the Navy back with your family, So how was your family's reaction that now that they are like, okay, हमारा बेटा हमारे पास फिर से आ गया. So what was your mother's, your father's, or your wife's reaction to all of this thing, the transition in your life?
Definitely, they were all very happy. My mother was only worried whether he'll get a job before he leaves Navy. But luckily, I cracked the exam and I got a job beforehand, before retirement. And even same with my wife, she always has supported me. She was always of that mentality. Ki, it's your choice because you joined the Navy by yourself. You should retire by yourself, and whatever you do, your family, it should be your thing. So she just supported me all the way through till even in the service and even after retirement. So then I could say I did my part and had a job before retiring so that they don't have anything to worry about.
Understood.
So that support was always there, and my mother was always uh, appreciative and supportive in all the things I did. So they were very happy when I came back.
Since I know your entire family, that is something that I can actually recollect or see them saying those stuff, and it makes my also heart very warm. That okay, because even before you, your wife, which is my akka first, so she has seen me grow. I have been to your wedding. So that is something very heartwarming for me as well. So I have seen since my childhood that you are very deeply involved in the church activities, in the youth community as well. So how has faith and community played a role in grounding you through different phases of your life?
That is, see, we are born in a country where we have all the religions, and all the religions teaches only one common ground, that is humanity. You may be of any faith. If you have humanity, you are good in your faith. It is just according to me. So I believe that humanity is the only religion which is should prevail. And that my faith has taught me. And it's always that key, when you are grounded to your roots, you will always come up bearing fruits. So
sure.
that faith has given me that, and with the support of my family and the people all around me, lucky to have good friends, good family circle. So, and the church, a responsibility of any faith just helps you to grow in a positive way in your life.
That is absolutely true. So, from your interactions with young people, what do you feel today's youth need the most guidance in, or a lot reassurance about?
I won't put it like that. Today's youth doesn't need any guidance because they are well educated by on their own. They know all the scope where they can grow. They have all the facilities available around. Only thing they need is support, either from family, friends, people around them. If they're supported in a right way and just shown a right direction, they have all the capability of growing in their life and becoming whatever they want to.
For sure. Right now, because for us, sometimes it gets a little bit like, since we have a lot of things that we can do, it at times also gets a bit more confusing. Ki, okay, what do I actually want to do? Because if I look at finance, there are so many different things in finance. So when I even talk to my family, they are like, ki, finance hi to hai. But then they do not understand that there are too many things going in that.
Branches
also.
are vast.
Like that.
On that terms, I would just say that there will be specifically something which you'll be loving the most. And when, as many people say, if you make your profession the thing which you love, then life is very easy.
That is actually something I think a lot of the youth need to hear, because what happens is in the moment of spur that okay, मेरे को कुछ तो job चाहिए, I want to do something, so they take up whatever they want, and later on they regret it. Then they are like, okay, now I have to sit and think. This one statement would actually mean a lot to our listeners.
And that
as
is
well.
only because the pace of life has changed. Now, previously there were nothing called Insta. Now there is everything: Insta food, Instagram, Insta anything. Means they want their work to be done instantly. So just a bit of patience. If you have a goal, definitely there will be hurdles. You just need to be patient, work on it, grow, and achieve it.
Absolutely true. So, if you had to pass on a few life lessons from your years in the Navy to young listeners, so what would that be?
My humble request to all the youth today is only to be humble to your parents, humble to your family, humble to your friends, all the people whom you meet. Because when we meet people, they see, they can, we are just like a mirror, they can see through you. If they get an opportunity to inspire by you, if they get an opportunity to uh, get motivated by you, they are always welcome. They'll just love a support, be a support to them. That's it. Rest, I think our youth are so vibrant. They can achieve in any field. They really don't need any guidance. Only it is like when you have the right support, even if they falter, but even if you support them, they will come up in a very positive way.
That is absolutely true. So, if any youngster who would like to join not just the Indian Navy, but even the Indian Armed Force, so what is that one advice or one life lesson that you would want to share with them?
I would really want our youngsters to join the armed forces because it is a different feeling, it is a way of life. You will be a totally different person, but first the interest should come from within, and then if you aspire it, then there is nothing stopping you. I really have told many youths, try joining the armed forces, because when you do it, maybe the process is little tough, but once you go through it, you will come out a very different man, and you yourself will feel that pride, sense of honor and dignity in you, and it will totally change your life, and it gives you a sense of life, and for a greater purpose, definitely for a greater purpose, but the priority should be service to the nation.
For sure.
And nothing like just go for, since there is a handsome salary or something. Yes, that perks and allowances you will be getting, but the primary goal should not be wavered off.
Of course. So, from what we have seen in the last 1 or 2 decades, is that the participation of women in the Indian Armed Forces has gradually increased. So, one thing is that women are getting that opportunity. So, one thing for the young female listeners also that can inspire them to be a part of the Indian Armed Forces.
I look very highly to our female people in our country, because somewhere or the other they are the creators. If they are not there, nobody is there in this world. I believe so. So they, it is like it was it previously, it was just boys entry was there, but then slowly as we have developed as a nation and the chance for equality, when we say speak about it, we have to also work on it. So that has been developing now, and as the girls have no way lesser to boys in any sense. So that gives a sense of pride to me, and the more they join, the more they'll also learn, and we definitely then the role play in the society will come to a balance, and we wouldn't prefer only boys joining the armed forces, but we can equally look to the female counterpart as joining
For
the
sure,
armed forces.
if we look at the recent Operation Sindoor, also the two
Yes.
leading officers were the women from India. itself.
Definitely, we just need the right motivation, the right aspiration.
When they are given an opportunity, even if you see right now when we are shooting, it's just two guys here, but behind the
Behind
camera
the
it is
scenes,
all
we
more
have the
females.
female.
Right there. One guy. That's it. But looking back at your own journey so far, what does a meaningful and a fulfilling life look for you?
There is no definition for a meaningful or fulfilled life. The only one thing is that you need contention. See, whatever you achieve in your life, if you're not content with it, you will never be happy.
For sure.
There are all kinds of people in our world. Some have less, some have more than sufficient, some have sufficient. But unless you find the true happiness and joy in the contention with what you are having, you will never be happy. So we can never define a meaningful life. And when life goes on, you see your life, if you have gained whatever you wanted to for your family, for your friend, for your community, for the nation as a whole, you have done something meaningful from your life.
That is absolutely true, and that is actually going to inspire a lot of us as well. So, one last question is that not the last question, but second last question, I'll say, is that what is that one thing that the sea teaches you as a person?
The sea. The sea teaches you. Actually, you can summarize the sea as a life. There will be ups and downs in your life, but if you have the right balance, your ship will never sink in. Your life will never sink in. If you have the right balance. The intensity of the sea getting worse is the problems and hurdles you face in your life, but the ship always floats on that.
Yes, for sure.
That is your life. That is your balance you have to create for yourself. If you have the right balance, you can cross any ocean.
For sure. So, what is that one final message that you would give, since our listeners are going to be, of course, listeners from my generation or the Gen Z generation, or as we speak? What is that one message, not just about the Indian Armed Forces, but about how they can be inspired from you and live their life like that?
The only thing what I always feel is that you should have time for yourself, for your family, and definitely for your friends. If these three sections of your life are catered to, you will have a real joyful, happy, and contented life. I would just ask them whatever you're doing, but please make time for your family, friends, and your community. That's it.
So it was a very, very wonderful time talking to you. I'm sure we have seen each other for a long, long while.
Yes.
But even this was for me the first time knowing about your entire journey and how you have been from a youngster to an Indian Armed Force officer, now coming back to as the one we say the family man. So, and obviously excelling in all of those phases. It was great talking to you, and thank you so much for being a part of it. We hope to see you in future as well.
Sure.
And it was a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pier Talk and the crew members. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From our team, one small token of appreciation to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming, and this will
Thank
be
you, Ram. Always pleasure.
Okay.
Always pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this episode, guys. This was Peer Talks episode 2. Thank you so much for being a patient listener, and we will be coming up with more crazy things, more guests, more episode in the upcoming months. So like, share, and subscribe. That is it for episode 2. Thank you so much.